Hello, everyone. Welcome to the John Sitton Football Uncensored podcast. Hosted by me, Joe Mealing, asking the questions to John. John, how's it going? We're going to do England and Euros.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. Yeah. It's a week today, isn't it?
It's a week today. Sun's out. Summer's here. Let's get our England scarves out and England flags put on outside the house in the car. Coming home. If you believe that. Southgate's announced his 26-man squad. Last night was the first friendly against Austria. Thoughts? We can go through the squad. Is it worth going through the squad and put yourself in Gareth's shoes, or an alternate England manager's shoes? Give your view on the squad. Should we go through that?
Yeah, only in a parallel universe.
Well, never say never. Never say never, John.
If they couldn't give me a monitor's job in 1997, right, and they gave it to all school teachers, that either says something about me or the FA, and I think we'll leave it there.
I think we know the answer to that one. Yeah. So let's go for the squad then. So goalkeeper's relatively self-explanatory because your man at Burnley, Pope, was injured. So you've got Dean Henderson, Man United, Pickford, Everton. And Sam Johnston, I guess, as a third wheel, West Brom. Thoughts on that? I guess the question to that would be, who would you start, Dean Henderson or Pickford?
Yeah, I think he's nailed on after last night's performance, Pickford. I thought he was very commanding. I thought his distribution was very good. He got Godfrey out of jail with a bad back pass. He came for stuff. What I saw, I just like to see him. It can be done on the training field, and you've got to keep drilling them relentlessly. Where for my and I know it wasn't the regular, the usual suspects like Stones, Maguire, etc. But he actually injured himself, and I knew it was his shoulder as soon as he hit the deck. They retreated back onto him. Right, and what they've got to learn to do is it's like I said in previous podcasts, there's a knack to it, and it's a bit ballsy. There's certain times as a centre back, and when you boss the rest of the back line, you've got to have a stillness about you, and you've got to be prepared. You don't always have to go and press the ball. You don't always have to drop off. Sometimes you just got to have a stillness about you and a confidence in knowing that you're together and someone's vocal enough to hold a line. So what you do, you clear the space for the goalkeeper to behind you to come and make a clean catch. That could have caused a problem, because I'll tell you, if you're down to the West Brom goalkeeper, who I wouldn't have picked, then it could cause it, because he's gonna. It's like Rob Green when they went to South Africa. He was fucking shell shocked. Do you know what I mean? When he said Capello, it gives me the because it goes on through the ages, all of them. Hodgson, Capello. I'm only going to pick people in form. I'm only going to pick people who are in form and not carrying any injury. And then Ericsson, they've all done it. And then like Hodgson got beat by the international equivalent of Wimbledon, as in Iceland. Then you look at the thing South Africa when he took Rob Green. I thought, what's he doing? Putting Rob Green in where the geezer's shell shocked. He's like Cross's shots coming in. West Ham relegated. You know what I mean? So
his ankle taking a goal kick, didn't he, Rob Green?
The bottom line being, the point I'm making is the geezer at West Brom, although he's done all right, all he's done is the basics quite well. I was always told at Chelsea, or always heard at Chelsea, from the likes of Dario Gradi, Ken Shilato, Eddie Mack, Dave Sexton, a goalkeeper should make the unbelievable look easy rather than make the easy look unbelievable. Right? You understand? And I think the West Brom goalkeeper comes into that category. He reminds me of Peter Bonetti in a respect. He's not particularly big. He's quite agile, but even when stuff's close to him, he throws the body shape. You know what I mean? Looks like a cat in midair. Hence the nickname that Bonetti got. But I think Pickford played his way in last night, and he's superb performance. You know what I mean? One or two things, but other than that, they can be ironed out. What he's got, but he's just got to be a bit. He's the same. He's got to be a bit more still. As in keep still. You know what I mean? Like jumping about and very excitable. He's just got to calm down a bit.
Joe Hart was the same. Too much adrenaline. All right, defenders then. So I guess a controversial part of it was the 4 right backs that he's picked.
Not really. Yeah, not really. Not for me. I could see, read the script, what he's done. Trippier's a right back, but he can play left back, so you can read the script there.
Yeah.
Me personally, I could read the script with regards to what he was going to do. It's going to be Trippier or Alexander-Arnold, who unfortunately got hurt last night. He's got 10 days to get better. Let's hope he gets better, which I'll come to. With the fullbacks pushed high and wide, and he's obviously indicating, maybe showing his hand a little bit in the respect that he wanted to play 3 centre backs, with the right hand side centre back being Kyle Walker, which is good because it's flexible and it's fluid, and it gives you that liquidity with regards to shuffling over and in. So he's already a natural right back, Kyle Walker. So all he's got to do is get used to that little bit of space over his left shoulder. Do you know what I mean? But when we're going up one side, if we're going up the right hand side predominantly, then it would shuffle over and in, which is what we didn't do when we got knocked out of the semi-final v Croatia in Russia. That's what let us down. So they had the overload, and you had Jordan Henderson doing fucking shuttles across midfield. It needed someone upstairs, or it needed someone next to him, this revered coaching staff, to say, boss man, this is what needs to happen. Stop Harry from coming so deep, get someone on to help him, and then get Sterling pushed in, whoever's on the left, I think it was Ashley Young, pushed in on that side, and then bring him over so we can push in and lock on, so we match him up in midfield. What they kept doing was playing around us. So it's like Lord Hudson said, so you don't think it was anything to do with Modric? I said, no, I don't. I said, at the end of the day, as an international class player, it was more to do with what we didn't do rather than what Croatia did do. We played straight into their hands and made it easy for them. So I can see very quickly the method in his madness, because, and I would have him on every dead ball. Corners, free kicks, the lot. Trent Alexander-Arnold. He's got the best delivery of a dead ball since Beckham.
And so I guess the other thing call he made was Connor Cody, who's had a poor season, and Tyrone Mings, who's not had a poor season, but questions on his ability at this level. But does that feed into your point around you think he's going to play the 3 centre halves, and therefore you need a left-footed centre half for balance and.
Well, he's bigger and chunkier than me, Mings, and as a consequence, he's already had a longer career than I did at Premier League level, or what was then the First Division. But as anyone who reads my Twitter feed will know, I'm no great fan of his. I think he's got a minimum of 2 mistakes per game in him, because he's come from a much lower level, and sort of been pillaged in terms of transfer money, worked his way up. He hasn't really had the football education. A lot of it's guesswork. A lot of it he gets away with because of his size. So if that's the standard, I think we're struggling. And Cody's the other one. It reminds me a little bit of myself in the respect that, again, he's played at an higher level for longer. I was called a poor man's Steve Bruce, which was an insult. I would say he's a poor man's Jamie Carragher. He's a solid pro. He's a good centre back, but he's not an international class centre back. So even when you say to someone like, I want you just to be an out and out defender, let's say like Kevin Keegan, he had Martin Keown. He said he's the best man marker on the planet. Right? He's an out and out defender. All right, you know what you're going to get. Right? And then
it was the Rash, wasn't it?
So what?
His nickname was the Rash.
Yeah.
It was all over.
Yeah, I mean, he did all that fucking stupidity, didn't he? Like all the bollocks, like rubbing his foot down the back of people's Achilles and pinching them and all that. I mean, what a load of bollocks that is. Do you know what I mean? Fucking idiot. He had pace to burn, and I met him at Wembley. Lovely guy. And top draw defender. But that's all he could do. But then when he started to come out of his shell a little bit after going to Everton and then going back to Arsenal, and I think then on to Villa, he had this renaissance under Wenger. And he said about being encouraged to play. And he said all George Graham used to tell me to do is, if in doubt, put the ball in the stand. So when they asked George Graham for a comment, George said, I would never have asked him to do anything that difficult. So basically what he's saying is, George is saying, play to your strengths, which he was a fantastic defender. And sometimes there's something to be said for that. I mean, it's revered in foreign countries, but not so much here. We want the full package. You know what I mean? We want a cross between Keown and Beckenbauer. And I don't see it in Mings or Cody.
So this thing about the fact he's picked Cody, and I would argue Mings, does that mean this thing about picking players in form zone of bollocks when you consider there's arguably been English centre halves that have performed better? Someone like the Dunk at Brighton.
I called him Ben White.
I called him,
and if you go back through my Twitter feed, you'll see it. I called Godfrey. If you go back through my Twitter feed, you'll see it.
Yeah.
And I think Godfrey's got more potential than Cody and Mings put together. He made a ricket last night, but he's the full package, the boy. He's the full package. I'll tell you what alarms me is lack of football IQ and education, and maybe even organisation in terms of the drilling. If it is drilled, they obviously didn't recognise it. What concerned me last night, Joe, right? Listen, this is what you've got to bear in mind. If you're going to play with fullbacks pushed on, right, your vulnerable area, which my formation would nullify it, but they're not going to listen to me and they ain't going to play it, right? It gives you more options going forward. It's more flexible.
I want to hear it, John. I want to hear it.
Five diamond one, and it can become anything. It can become 3-4-3, 4-3-3, 3-5-2, 5-3-2, 5-2-3. It can become anything, right? But it's all about what you do when you lose the ball, and then it's all about what you do as soon as you can spring, like we did last night, which we might come to the goal, when you're attacking, right? But what concerned me last night is it was like borderline youth team football, youth team reaction. Your vulnerable area, when your fullbacks are pushed on, your vulnerable area is the channel or the switch of play to where, because you're looking for your opposite fullback to gamble and make up the numbers and maybe even get in the box. But most certainly the way I used to coach it is get up, and if the play is predominantly, let's say down the right hand side, right, what you can do, you can I used to get players to rotate where the wing back would go up and in, and then he would scream or boss the midfield player to help get the overload or get bodies in the box, help flood the box, as we used to say. Right, so you're nice and compact. If the ball's rebounded on you, nice and compact. And then it's just a tickle. If the fullback, if it breaks down, the fullback's just got a little tickle where he just had a little 15-yard recovery run to get your shape back, right? But what concerned me is they went boom. Austria went boom, diagonal, or they went boom in behind in the channel. And far too easily, we overreacted and overcompensated, whereby the centre-back went over and you're left with what would have been the same sort of thing if you'd have played four at the back, which is our centre-backs got too easily dissected. The first centre-back went beyond the near post, right? So if you know you know what, we're on a sticky wicket here, right? If you know the ball's coming into the box, what you do is you try and, the way I would say it, like turn it over in my own mind is, right, I've got to cut my losses here, right? You've got to cut your losses and you've got to play the percentages and you've got to try and be in the right place when the ball comes into the box. Then you've got to be first contact. You've got to make first contact. It's about reading the game. It's about reading where the ball's going to drop. But what happened was the first centre-back got dragged to and maybe even beyond the near post. The second centre-back was too far behind, right? And then I'll be honest with you, I'd have buried that. I'm 62 in October. I'd have buried it. The one that come in where the geezer went like that and glanced it down. All you do is you punch that down at the goalkeeper's feet or into the corner where it's come from. And we'd have ended up drawing 1-1 with Austria. That's my concern. Too easily dissected. And
like you say, you think that's a lack of football IQ in the sense that ultimately that sort of following your man and being made to look silly because there's a man spare. You've got to forget all that and concentrate on, I've got to try and read the game. I'm going to use my nous to ascertain where the risk is, and fall back to your instinct.
The way I coached it is people would go, oh, well, it's not the ball. And coaches used to get older people like this, like Eustace used to get older people like this. He said, it's about the man. It's about the man. He's the one that can score the goal, not the ball, right? Well, I disagree. If you've got a knack for knowing where the ball's going to drop and then be first to the ball, right, you don't have to worry about obviously you want to get against them and all that if it's a top draw cream delivery, right? But it's about being first to the ball and dealing with the ball. If you get first to the ball and deal with the ball, the man don't matter.
But also you don't know where the men are behind you. Ain't got eyes in the back of your head, right?
Yeah, well, that's again, that's an easy session. That's called retreating and marking in the box.
So
Here's the other thing. Here's the other thing, very quickly, right? While we're on that subject of that central core, right?
Yeah.
They're talking about him, Dixon last night, I think, and someone else on radio said about him obviously he's going to play 2 screening midfield players, right? I can't get my head around it. There's a couple of things. If they played my formation 5 diamond 1, right? If you lose the ball, that diamond, it's got to retreat and become narrow. So in effect, listen to what I'm saying to you. You've actually got a double diamond, like a reinforced central core in the central tranche of the field, right? You've also got 3, it becomes 3 screening midfield players because the 2 on the edge, on the outside of the diamond, they actually retreat and tuck in. Yeah, right? I can't see the sense in play. Yeah. But what it is, it's like a double reinforcement. So you've got like sort of 2 diamonds, you've got one in front of the other. You understand? So it's almost impenetrable. You can't, people can't find a way through.
Like a zigzag.
Yeah. And then inevitably it deflects the ball wide. And then your defensive drilling deflects the ball inwards where you've got the bodies. Then it's deflect. So the bottom line being, any ball, like you when you coach players, any ball that's if you keep it in front of you, right? Because primarily, good defending is economy of effort, right? And it's about making play predictable. So if you're deflecting it wide, and then if you're deflecting it back into where you've got bodies, right? It's hunky-dory. They're not doing any damage. The damage is done too easily against us last night, where it went in the channels towards the corners, and then it was crossed in, or a diagonal ball, and then it was crossed in, and we got shredded a couple of times. But the point being, I can't see the sense in playing 3 centre backs if you're going to play 2 screening midfield players.
No.
I don't understand why, because you've already got the insurance and the reinforcement behind. Why do you want it to double reinforced in front?
Well, I mean, maybe the only thing is, like a bit like the sort of Bielsa way, you have 5 defenders and you have 5 attackers. So if you have 3 centre halves, 2 holding midfielders, basically the wing backs are attackers.
Bear in mind that only happens when it's going forward. Bear that in mind. Yeah, that only happens when it's going forward, and that's not new. David Webb used to do that at Brentford.
Yeah,
when he was manager at Brentford.
I was thinking that might be this kind of seems to be the modern way of thinking. You have 5 defenders and 5 attackers. That's it. You got the 2 halves and a half.
Whatever the thinking, an international side is the same as a club side. You've got to have your own agenda, right? So what you do, you and the bottom line is you try and get both ends of the pitch right. One thing's for sure, is damn sure, you've got to be a nightmare to play against, and you've got to be an absolute bastard to try and break down.
Yeah, well, it's a big
understand?
Weekly, isn't it?
And I'm looking at that last night, and I don't think that's going to be tearing up many trees, that 11.
No, well, I suppose he won't play that 11, but nonetheless, you look at the side, the biggest risk is the back 4 or the defence. So that has to be, like you say, complete and utterly bolstered and strengthened as much as possible. I hope that we will beat teams on a counter attack or with our skill up front. So let's go through the midfield then. The midfielders he's picked are Jude Bellingham, which I'd love to get your view on him, and why he picked him, and whether or not he can do anything in the tournament. Henderson, who's obviously injured, but sort of vice captain. Mason Mount, Calvin Phillips, Leeds, and Rice. So quite a light midfield.
A lot of them are what they're in brackets. A lot of them are in brackets. A lot of them are second fiddle to my first choice. Because I would play, like I said to you, I'd play 5 at the back, I'd play a diamond, and I'd play 1 up top, which is obviously Harry. But what I liked last night is, in preference to Harry, I loved the way Calvert-Lewin stayed high, and I loved the way he bent his run into the channels and became a crosser of the ball. That's when you've got to have other people flooding the box, which from my formation would be very easy to do. You'd have a minimum of 3, if not 4 players in the box every time the ball comes in. More likely 4, maybe even 5 with the opposite fullback. But it depends if he's got the engine. I mean, my ideal starting 11 would have been Pickford, Trent Alexander-Arnold, right fullback pushed in, I am wide, the Shaw, Iron Wide pushed in on the left. And then I'd have played Maguire, who's not fit, on the left, natural left footer, in brackets Mings, because we've fundamentally got no one else. Stones in the middle, Walker on the right, brackets Cody, as an out-and-out defender. My midfield diamond would be screening the back four, without question, beyond any doubt, Declan Rice. To the right of him, in an expansive diamond that becomes narrow when we're defending and then tucks in, would be Mason Mount. On the left would be Grealish. At the tip of the diamond, I would have Foden in brackets Sterling, and then up front Kane brackets Calvert-Lewin or the Watkins. That would be my starting 11.
So let's say.
Let's see how far wide of the mark I am.
So who out of those, let's say Mount, Foden, and Grealish, who would provide width, or would you ask them to stay quite narrow?
I'd ask them to stay narrow,
Right.
but they can help provide width with combination play with the fullback. But primarily, you're looking at your wing backs to provide the width and get the crosses in.
Yeah.
I mean, the best left back in the world at the moment is a Scottish kid. He plays it absolutely perfect. He's got the engine, he's got the pace, and he's got the delivery.
Yeah.
And it's like I said before, you heard it here first about 3 episodes ago, right? Yeah. The Sweaties could provide a massive upset on the 18th. Right? They're no mugs, and Clark's no mug. Trust me. And that could be our most difficult game in the group.
Yeah. I'll just go through the forwards quickly. So Calvert-Lewin, you mentioned Foden, Grealish, Kane, Rashford, who I would argue's had a poor season.
Yeah.
Saka, who scored yesterday.
Yeah.
Who has had a good season. He's only young man. Sancho. I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know if he's had a good season or not. I think he's struggled with injuries. And Sterling, who I would argue's had a poor season.
Yep. I agree. That's why all those players you've named, they would all be in brackets as second in line to the person that holds the shirt. In my opinion, that should hold the shirt. So Mason Mount's had a fantastic season. Grealish is fresh. He's come back from injury, although he had an ice pack on his thing last night. He's got to be careful, because if it ain't shin splints, that can only be in managing the pain of a stress fracture in the fibula or the tibia. That's why he's got it on. That's why he's got the ice pack on, right? And they'll have him on anti-inflammatories and ice packs. You can play through a stress fracture, but you've got to manage it. He's going to be one of what I think is 3 or 4 key players, along with Foden, along with Mount, in terms of providing ammunition. So we need Grealish. We're desperate for Grealish. So, like I said, Kane up top. So, like number 2 to him could be in brackets Watkins or Calvert-Lewin. So, what you've got, Joe, you've got like a shadow, like a top draw sub for each position.
Yeah. So, just 2 questions actually. One is, did you think there should have been room for someone like a Mason Greenwood in that?
Yeah, squad? I'd have had him in the squad, but he got injured. Yeah. So whether they've pulled him out, United, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes, right? It might have been United might have pulled him out because they didn't want to gamble it in terms of the injury getting worse. It might need something we don't know about, which is like at that level behind the scenes, it don't come out. Maybe a minor nick, someone just like an arthroscopy to repair it. We don't know what the injury is, how bad the injury is. They might want to manage the injury or repair the injury during the summer. But me personally, I'd have had him, and he would have been on the right-hand side of the diamond in brackets to come on as a fantastic sub for Mason Mount. Yeah. And so like your Kane, brackets Calvert-Lewin or Watkins, Foden, brackets Sterling. Then on the right, Mount, brackets the kid we just said. Then on the left, Grealish, brackets Saka. And then the fullbacks we know about. If he's going to have a problem, Trent Alexander-Arnold, then what I would say is I'd put Trippier, because I think he's a bit more creative than Kyle Walker. And I'd have him all the dead balls. He's another one. He's one of the best dead ball kickers since Beckham. And
you got Reece James as well, who ain't no slouch either, is he?
Yeah, another thing there. So they said, there was a method in his madness, but I just think it maybe showed his hand a little bit with regards to how he's thinking about playing.
Do you think? I mean, I think I know the answer based on that team. But in terms of our best chance of doing well in the tournament, should we sort of rely on or trust our ball players, and by that I mean Grealish, Foden and Mount, as opposed to our pace players like Sterling, Rashford, and I guess maybe Saka thrown into that mix? Because it seems like he's got two stalls. He's got this Kane coming deep, and you've got the pace to burn of Rashford and Sterling bumbling along, hardly having the ball under control, but maybe getting a goal. Or Kane sort of staying a bit further up the pitch, and your ball players, your Fodens and your Grealish doing rotations with your Mounts to be more creative. I guess the other question to you is: Would you stick with the ball players and try and keep the ball?
A couple of reasons for that. I'd stick with the ball players. For one, I don't think it was found wanting with regards to breaking at speed, breaking at pace, which was showed for the goal last night. It pinched the ball, went straight on the attack. Grealish went left. Kane hit the crossfield ball. Then you had the thing Lingard, who I was shocked that he left out initially, that he might creep back in with injuries. I think he's had a fantastic season for West Ham. He played an audacious little ball, and then a recovering defender basically made the tackle that put the ball in the path of Saka for the finish. Right? I don't think any of them are found wanting with regards to breaking at pace. Any top level football, I even you try to teach it even with young players at any level, but particularly at that level, international football and Premier League level, it's all about moving the ball quickly. Yeah. And you can move the ball far more quickly than you can run with it. On top of which, I think Sterling flatters to deceive. Whereas Foden, that's why I've put him in front. I've put Foden in front because I think Foden he's got a bit more devilment and audacity about him. Whereas Sterling, he'll do someone and then he'll check back. Rather than do someone and then get across into their body line so that they can't make the recovery run, which is something you teach, right? Yeah, so you've dribbled, then once you've gone past them, you get across and then look for the next one. The only time to bring dribblers in is if you go a man down, right? So a dribbler can make up for the loss of a player for a sending off and can induce free kicks if you're chasing the game in the right areas and you need set pieces in the attacking third. But in me personally, it's just my personal opinion. It might be right, it might be wrong, but it's probably right. I think it's about moving the ball quickly at international level. Yeah,
and I imagine we've always been done. I mean, just from my experience, and I know you've watched England for longer than me, but it's always in. Obviously, we play tournaments in the summer. The pitch seems to always be a little bit longer. It's energy sapping. We don't keep the ball, so 60 minutes, 65 minutes in, we're fucked. You mentioned Jordan Henderson doing doggies, covering fullbacks
against Croatia.
And it seems like the problem is with Rashford and Sterling is they're not very good at maintaining possession. Yes, they've got that X factor. 1 in 6, 1 in 7, they can score, they can beat a player, but more often than not, they give possession away. Dele Alli was the same, poor in possession. Ross Barkley was the same, gave possession away too much. I just wonder whether we should concentrate on actually maintaining possession, and if, like you say, those ball players can transition, to coin a phrase, quickly, that's maybe our best chance.
Yeah, the players you mentioned, that might not be their fault. They might not have had the coaches to set up the sessions or to point out to them, listen, you've got to keep the ball moving, right? The only time I want to see you get at someone, and what you do, you create an environment whereby it's possible. I only want to see you get at someone when you're isolated. The time to dribble is when you're isolated.
Yeah.
When you've isolated a defender 1v1, right? And then basically when you've eliminated that, you've then got the overload. You draw the second one defender, so you've now got a 2-player overload. That's when you shift it, right? Or obviously, if you're in Foden's case, which is why I love him, is he don't fuck about. He's got a short backlift and he'll explode a shot. He'll get half a yard anywhere around the penalty area. That's another thing we don't do enough. We don't explode shots off. There's no, we got to. All this trying to walk the ball in the net and everything's got to come across. You've got to give the opposition as many things to think about and as many problems as you possibly can, right? So listen, let me make this point. If you've got someone like Foden who's like, you go dink, dink, and then it crash one, like really explode a shot off. All of a sudden now, the opposition defender, they've got to think about getting within blocking distance. Well, that's when you unload it.
That's when you unload it.
As soon as they come at you to get within blocking, that's when you share it.
Yeah, that's right.
You understand? So you're giving them problems all the time.
Yeah, that's De Bruyne all over, isn't it? And hopefully Foden's learning from him in that respect.
Yeah,
you can't defend against De Bruyne. You give him time, he smashes one in. You close him, he just shifts it.
Well, they're going on about Bellingham, right? I think.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on him? Why is he in the squad?
He's gone overboard already last night, Dixon. And by the way, I thought zilch chemistry with regards to the pundits and some of
Matt face.
Yeah. I liked Tim Ian Wright. I thought Ian Wright was very honest, very forthright, made some fantastic coaching points. He's a former adversary of mine, but I've got great admiration for him and what he's done recently. And most certainly last night, the rest of them there looked tired and stale. Dixon going on about him being a Rolls Royce of a player. Well, if this Rolls Royce of a player was under me, I'll put my arm around and go, come here, I want to have a little chat with you, right? Listen, you're going to be some player, you. But don't get ahead of yourself with regards to waving your arms about with experienced internationals who haven't given you the ball, right? What you got, you understand? He's already remonstrating as a 17-year-old. Nah, wrong body language, kid. Wrong body language, right? My personal opinion, it's too soon for him. It's too soon for him. I don't think he's got the discipline. Right? Go back to the Champions League final. Go back to what he's talking about, Hodgson. Go back to Guardiola. Go back to Tuchel. Right? It's what I said. It's not bionuclear physics. Right? Once you've set everything up, you just remind the players. Right? It's about keeping your shape. It's about discipline. Keep your shape. Okay, and then the rest will take care of itself. Right? I don't think he's got that in him at the moment. He's a little bit Roy the Rovers. Right, which he's gradually phasing it out of his game. I was critical of that. Foden, he's played his way back into my reckoning because I thought he had that about him, a little bit too Roy the Rovers. And that's not, Joe. I'm not quashing or patting down any sort of creativity. I always gave my players total freedom of thought and total artistic license in and around the attacking third, which is where you need it.
Just wonder whether is it a bit of a, do we fall into the trap of thinking that, oh, they're obviously top quality players because they're playing Champions League football with Borussia Dortmund? No. Would they get it? Would Bellingham and Sancho get in Man City's side? Would they get in Chelsea's side? I don't think they would.
I'll tell you what we've fallen into the trap of. We've fallen into the trap of trying to be like other people. So you had this, in inverted commas, FA blueprint more recently, apart from concentrating more on well-being, more on feel-good factor, more on mental health than on football. The football part of it is about going through the 3/3, right? That's fine if it's on. That's only fine if it's on. But what you've got to bear in mind is, with regards to all these, in inverted commas, influential foreign coaches who've come to this country, Wenger I've already dispelled with regards to his legacy, and he basically picked up the thread of what Malcolm Allison was doing 30 years before he arrived in this country, right? You could see from outer space that Perez, Henry, Vieira, Petit, my missus could have said, yeah, they look good players. You understand what I mean? So there's a big myth attached. The bottom line is the point I'm trying to make. Identity-wise, we've concentrated too much on trying to copy other blueprints, other countries, other ways of coaching. And it's like I've said with regards to not only the Premier League, right, the nonsense going on at somewhere like Fulham, but all the way down the divisions, the goalkeeper rolling it out in his own 6-yard box to a centre-back who don't want the ball anywhere near him. Yeah. They're trying to coach like Guardiola when Guardiola's been coaching like that all his life. They can't coach like Guardiola. They don't even begin to know how to set the session up, and they ain't got the players to coach like Guardiola. Even if they knew how to coach like Guardiola, they ain't got the players. You understand? So if we're guilty of anything, it's been through lack of education and identity.
One question I want to ask you was Gareth's man management, I guess. and the culture he's tried to create with England. Obviously, we haven't been in the tournament for 3 years, but the last tournament we done well. Exceeded expectations, getting to semi-final. And he's obviously going about things a bit differently. He's played players yesterday in an England warm-up friendly before a big tournament that are not in his squad. A, have you ever seen that before? And B, why the fuck would he do that?
Yep, fair point, fair question. I think he's done it possibly for two reasons. Trying to second guess him, I can only think how I would think, and then hope that it ties in with the way he's thinking, which is he's done it to protect and rest players. He's given game time to people like Grealish who need the minutes under their belt, 70 minutes, and then quite possibly, as a consequence of, in actual fact, it happened last night, one or two players may be dropping out through injury. An injury normally comes through fatigue or not warming up properly, right? So you look at Alexander-Arnold, that's probably come through fatigue. I would think, looking at his reaction and looking at what he did after, I would imagine he's torn a thigh muscle. And I haven't seen any news, I haven't heard any broadcasts, I haven't looked at any TV apart from something on Sky News about we haven't got enough to meet Labour demand, which I made a sarcastic comment about. But I don't know wide nor air of Alexander-Arnold's injury. I'm guessing as an ex-pro that he's either pulled or ripped a thigh muscle. Going by the way he tried to stretch up his quads after he done that left-footed clearance. That would be, I think he's thinking behind it. That would be my thinking behind it, to protect and rest players, and maybe leave the door open for one or two others. Yeah, that would be my sort of motive for doing it.
It's just funny. I can't ever remember that ever happening before.
Oh no, I can assure you it has. I can assure you it has. I mean, they make all sorts of. So you're between a rock and a hard place. I mean, I like the spirit he's engendered. I like the way he comes across. He's maybe a bit of a company man. He's not going to be controversial. He's going to be what you said earlier, maybe a bit of a politician. He's going to come out with grey moribund platitudes, so that he don't rock the boat. So he's a good FA employee. They're not going to take the game forward. They haven't taken the game forward, which is going back to what I said about the coaching. It all springs from the syllabus. I could have gone in years ago, and if I'd have worked my way up the ladder and maybe been at Wembley now, I'd have had a major say in the syllabus. You know, they're concentrating too much on other stuff, political stuff, guaranteeing X amount of BAME coaches. Well, you can't guarantee it. They might not be good enough. And if they're guaranteeing 1,100 BAME coaches or whatever's on the wall behind Paul Elliott, why does it have to be 1,100? It might be 2,500 who are good enough. But then again, there might be 1,100 who are not good enough. Do you understand? So there ain't no guarantee. It's a ridiculous thing to say. The sole, as far as I'm concerned, the sole concern, or the main concern, the primary concern of the custodians of the game with regards to coaching in this country should be the syllabus and turning out complete footballers. And it's not. And it never has been. And until someone radical and innovative is appointed, and I'm not touting myself for a job, any kind of advisory capacity, but it's still someone, until someone's who's radical and innovative and has got ideas to take it forward, it never will. It won't change. It won't change.
No, it's quite a depressing statement.
There's two. What it is, right, Joe? You've got a situation there. Like, I mean, it was in the end, it became a little bit disjointed and shambolic. Well, that for me, that's reminiscent of when you used to play a higher division side in pre-season friendlies, right? And they've turned up, and you've actually shocked them with your ability, with your organisation, and with your athleticism so far, right? And then, so what they do, you might go 2-0 up, like at Leyton Orient, or 1-0 up at Leyton Orient versus Arsenal in a pre-season friendly, like I think we did. And then they make, I don't know if we ended up winning 2-0. Anyway, the manager made changed half the team. So what it does is it's just like, it's camouflage.
Yeah.
Because if you want your primary first team players and your primary first 11 to get fitter and get match fit and get used to the organisation, you play your primary first 11 players, and you don't make changes until you're happy. Yeah, that's my opinion. That's the way I'd do it. But everyone's different. That's the game, though. That's the game.
That's why we love it. Yeah. So our group, tough group or easy group? So Croatia, Czech Republic, and Scotland in our group.
Yeah. Before I answer it, I've just remembered something I wanted to say earlier because, and it's picking up the thread of what you asked. It's relevant to a question about how we did with regards to qualification. Let's bear in mind the last 3 World Cups, or at least the last 5 championships, if you include the European Championships. It might be 6 championships, actually. Maybe I should write it down, but I can't be asked. I'll just try and work from memory. We've had what's tantamount to a bye in terms of the group stages. And then you said we did well when we exceeded all expectations, your words, to get to the semi-final, right? Well, we beat a pub team and a team of thugs and some amateurs, tantamount to international amateurs. And then when we basically push come to shove, we scraped through on penalties. And then we got given a football lesson, both on the field and the coaching staff and management off it against Croatia, right? So this is why I'm a little bit pessimistic as a consequence of our track record, right? In answer to your question, I think it could be a diabolical group. Right, the sweaties don't need no motivation. Well, no one does. I've got it. It's part of my second book, Joe. I keep writing it, rewriting it, taking things in, putting things in, taking bits out. Do I say that because I might be perceived as a right-wing cab driver when I talk about post-Second World War, United Kingdom and Great Britain, and my theories and thoughts on it? Because I don't want to come across as being like sort of boring Neanderthal ex-footballer / cab driver. And then again, you could say, someone could argue, say, well, this is why footballers or ex-footballers in this case shouldn't talk outside their remit, right? Well, I'm trying to dispel that myth whereby, we can think about other things and we can converse about other things and have theories and thoughts on other things. But when I look at that group, that could be one of the groups of death. I don't think there's anything, any guarantees. But it's like I said about any nation, as in my book, as soon as they hear our national anthem, because of history, if you want a clue, have a look at the Eurovision Song Contest, right? For whatever reason, known only to them, apart from my theories on it with regards to empire and Commonwealth, that only they know the reason, but straight away foreigners bristle when they hear God Save the Queen and they raise their game by 10%. Then you look at historically with the sweaties, right? There's historical hatred to the extent where you've got people present day making a career out of politics by stoking that division and trying to break up the UK for something that went on fucking 600 years ago. You understand? So this is how desperate people are and desperate they become, either to cling on to and cream over misery or cling onto cream over some sort of motivation. And their motivation is normally our national anthem, right? So the sweaties will raise their game. Plus they've got fantastic coach and fantastic players. And then you've got the others. There won't be no pushover. They'll try and batter us.
Well, look at
the Czechs. Yeah.
Yeah, the 2 best performers for West Ham, who are arguably one of the best performers in the league last year, were from the Czech Republic.
Spot on. Yeah, spot on. So we'll see, because they're the type of side they're the international equivalent of West Ham in the Premier League, aren't they? Yeah. You understand? They'll play the percentages. They've got 1 or 2 decent individuals, 1 or 2 decent players. But if we can nick a set piece and catch England having a lapse of concentration, which last night they had about 24 lapses of concentration and got, like I said, got easily dissected, it could be good night Vienna, 1-0 to the Czechs or whatever.
Yeah, good night. Where the capital of Czech Republic is, I forgot.
Yeah, Prague, isn't it? Prague.
Prague. Yeah, of course it's lovely Prague. Yeah. But I was going to say, Souček. It is Souček, isn't it? Yeah, Souček.
One of them.
He had that header yesterday. 1-0. Brilliant in the air, superb.
He'd have buried it. But I'm
Yeah,
not being funny. I'd have buried it. I'd have buried it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This he knows. They know. It's a missed chance. It was a missed chance. I'm cautiously optimistic about getting out of the group, but I don't.
So do you think we'll beat Scotland?
My personal opinion, it depends who scores first.
Yeah, they were unlucky yesterday, weren't they?
Yeah, I'm going to sit on the fence. I'm going to sit on the fence and say a draw. Well, they were very unlucky because I'm telling you now, that was never a free kick. He's tried. This is fantastic play by the Scottish centre back. Fantastic play. What it is when you teach a forward when the ball's punched in, right? As they control, you teach body in, right? So it's punched in, and then I've got it off talking to Pat Rice. What they teach the centre forwards at Arsenal, and I'll tell you who was one of the governors at it was Kevin Campbell. Right. So when the ball's punched in, it's like as you control it, body in. Well, what's happened is he's got like semi-low and touch tight. So the opposite of that is you're teaching a defender to defend 1v1 to prevent an opponent from turning. Right. So what it is, he's backed off. He's got like semi-touch tight, sees the ball. This is all happening like this, by the way. But it's a great decision. I'm just going to back off, and you can't feel me. Because a forward like that, if they feel you, and he was the governor at Dalglish, right? When I come up against him, if they feel you, they'll roll you, especially if you're not in line with the ball, which is another key that you teach a centre back or any defender. It's about getting in line with the ball, right? But if they feel you're not in line with the ball, they'll roll you, and they've gone down the side. You can't recover, right? The centre back's done fantastic. He's got nowhere to go and nothing to lean against. He's falling backwards, so he grabs his shirt. If you look at it, I'm bang on with everything. He leans back, he grabs his shirt, and then the ref gives the free kick. Well, the free kick was unbelievable quality, right? But the Sweaties deserve to win that 2-1.
Yeah.
I love them. I love the spirit. I love the thing, the organisation, and the way the thing. And he sat there, and the way he sat there, he's giving off his own body language. Steve Clark, he's like this. He's looking, pulled a face like me, like Popeye, looking like that. What that is, he's confident in his players, and he's confident in his organisation and structure. So as a consequence, he's pretty chilled. And I thought they deserved a 2-1 win. But I think that could be a draw. If Scotland score first, they'll hang on.
Just have a question.
If England score first, we could go on to get 2 or 3.
Yeah. Because Scotland have got to come out. Yeah. The group of death this time around is a punchy group. I can't think of a more group of death than that one. France, Germany, Hungary, who are niched, and Portugal. I mean, Portugal, I know Belgium have got a fantastic squad. Portugal have arguably got one of the best squads in Europe.
Yeah.
You know, Diaz was player of the year in the Premier League, centre half. You know, they just got top quality players everywhere you look.
Yeah.
Germany, as always, come under the radar, it seems. Never go into a tournament as favourite, do they? Never go into a tournament seemingly in brilliant form. Smash everyone.
It's what I've always said. And that's how we should be. Right? They just go about their business.
Yeah.
They just go about their business. And they don't look left and they don't look right. They just look ahead and go about their business. They're a very well-organised, well-drilled, well-oiled forensic machine. But the problem is they're struggling so much. They've brought back a couple of players who they dropped from the squad for the last year or so, who are slightly overage, might not have the energy to get around the pitch. So I would maybe go with stating the obvious, but looking at them last night, they're a class above justifiable favourites for the tournament. I would go with France and Portugal to get out that group. But then again, I wouldn't dismiss the Germans because they just keep... See, the thing is with the Germans, right? This is what I'm saying, Joe, about apart from turning out and coaching a complete footballer, the other thing is they base the game, and it's even more so the case now. They base it on data or information, and then they build their habits around that data. So like things like position of maximum opportunity. It's just like percentages of playing, fading a ball in behind a retreating back 4 into a certain area. But the bottom line being, Germany will just chip away. And they chip away. They just keep like banging, getting their shoulder into the door until the door caves in, until there's an opening. And they'll spot a weakness or 2 or 3, and they'll just keep chipping away. And that's what they're brilliant at.
The straw that broke the camel's back.
I might have used that expression. In a bygone era.
You probably did.
I'm thinking more of the 7-0 against Brazil.
Yeah. And I mean,
or the 7-1, whatever the fuck it was. But I know they targeted Louise and they absolutely crucified them. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a massacre. Yeah, okay. So predictions then for the tournament. Who if you had to bet, I know you're not a betting man, but if you had a tenner, cheeky tenner, who'd you put it on to win?
I think they're justifiable favourites after what I saw last night, the French.
Yeah.
I think they're justifiable favourites. But then you're looking at it, like you said, you've mentioned the Germans, they're quiet, they've gone quiet. The Italians, he's created, they've got a youngish side, they've got a lot of energy, he's creating a feel-good factor, which is nice. You know, I tried to do it many a time. You know what I mean? Maybe I just ain't got a nice smile, but you know, all the fucking about off the field, having a laugh and a joke and a carry on, Mancini playing tennis with a frying pan and all that, you know, just having a giggle. When the work's done, I always said to my youth team players, it's a time to work, it's time to act the goat. And that's why I loved them like sons. When it's time to work, they worked. You know what I mean? Same with my Sunday side. Few pros in the first team, they were like that. Problem was with a few of the others, they wanted to put the cart before the horse and have the good time before the work was done. You know what I mean? You can't go to the ATM if there's no money in the account.
Yeah, earn it. Yeah. Well, it should be fun, shouldn't it? Sport.
I think it'd be a brilliant tournament. Yeah. See, they've gone quiet. The Italians, the Spanish, they've gone quiet. The Dutch, I think they looked a little bit one-paced and lethargic last night, but they could spring a surprise. They've got unbelievable talent in their starting 11. The Germans we spoke about. You know what I mean? So if you go the usual suspects, I can't see anyone springing a surprise. Say France, Germany, Spain, Italy, Portugal. I see England. I think they're coming sixth, seventh behind Italy, and
that's what I'm saying. We haven't even mentioned Belgium.
Yeah, so we're probably about eight. We're probably about eighth in the top 8. We're probably 8th in the top 8.
Crazy.
So if we get out of the group, I'm predicting. Unless there's a phenomenal effort, phenomenal ability allowed to come to the fore, phenomenal organisation. I would say maybe last 8 for us. And that might be
I mean, I can't see us beating France. I can't see us beating Belgium, really. I can't see us beating Germany. Portugal, they're a bit impotent up front, as they usually are. Ronaldo's getting old, but them big games, we don't win, do we?
No.
We don't win them. When was the last time we beat a top side in a knockout tournament?
I'm struggling to work from memory. I like to give you sharp answers and keep our subscribers engaged. And I'll be honest with you, I can't. I'm struggling.
We go back to World Cup 90. I mean, we beat Belgium and then Cameroon. And then we lost to Germany.
Yeah. Well, maybe the last 2 great tournaments were 96 and 98. So
we beat Holland in the group stages, didn't we? 4-1. Yeah.
Under Venus. The two best coaches this country's had, which is Venables and Odell. And we got cheated out of the Argentinian thing with Simeone and the muggy kit, which he shouldn't have reacted, Beckham. We had the beating of them. And even then, with down to 10 men, we had a disallowed goal for Sol Campbell, which shouldn't have been disallowed.
No, because he fouled his own player.
Yeah. But you're right. You're struggling. To work from memory, we're struggling. Maybe one of the World Cups was its career in Japan when Owen got the penalty against the Argentinians, won the penalty against the Argentinians. In actual fact, it was Pochettino that upended him, wasn't it?
Yeah, Beckham scored it. We won 1-0, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah. So what's his name?
Was that knockout or group?
No, that was knockout. I think. You might be right. He was magnificent that game. 2 magnificent performances. Ashley Cole, and my player of the tournament, that was Nicky Butt. Yeah. No credit, no respect, because he wasn't high profile. We just went about his business. Yeah.
Went out to Brazil, didn't we?
Yeah, that was a farce out there.
Seaman's got his legs stuck in the mud.
What's the one in Brazil? Am I right in thinking the Brazil where we made an under-14 mistake where the centre back never commanded Gerrard? Gerrard's backpedaling, going up for the header, and then it skims off the top of his head. The centre half comes in. It's like it should be fucking all right, Steve. My ball, Steve. Whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The ball's in the air. The ball's in the air for like 8 light years. So the key, like for the centre back, is assess, decide, communicate, exact. You know what I mean? Execute. So assess the flight, communicate to the screening midfield player, which was Gerrard. And then, decide, then communicate, then punch the header, go out and win the header. So Doddle. He goes off, skims off the top of his head and puts Suarez clean through.
That's right, yeah. We got completely and utterly massacred by the Germans in 2006, I think.
Yeah.
When Gareth Barry was trying to chase back off from a corner, and again was like running through trigger. We got completely and utterly ripped to shreds. I know Lampard scored the disallowed goal, but it wouldn't have mattered.
We got shredded anyway. And when you got, he was lucky to get an England cap ever, Upson. When you got John Terry coming so far across that you end up, it should never happen, right? It should be, look, I don't know if you can see it on camera, right? So as a centre-back goes in to attack the ball, the other centre-back should just tuck round off at the angle ever so slightly, and the full-back on that side. I ain't got free hands, so I can't show you the full-back. So as he goes, you should just tuck in ever so slightly. What happened was, it was embarrassing. Terry come across, and you ended up with 2 centre-backs like that on the left-hand touchline. So you could drive a fleet of fucking Russian tanks between Terry and Upson and whoever was playing right back.
Yeah.
Under 14, it was embarrassing. Under 12 even. Do you know what I mean? But you know, if you're a lump and you've got plenty of high profile and you have a few tidy games, you're a megastar now.
Yeah, you play fast on particularly in them days. All right, John. Nice one. That was a good little discussion about that. Let's do another one as the game starts flying in. And
yeah, that'd be good. Good to see you back. It's good to hopefully we can crack on now and keep the subscribers, our loyal subscribers, entertained and informed.
Yeah, well, everyone enjoyed it again. And please like, subscribe, share, comment. Any questions you want me to ask, John, DM me, please. And don't just at me. It's hard to find sometimes. But just send me a message or send John a message and he'll pass it on. And I hope you enjoyed it. And he's coming home. Hashtag is coming home.
We don't know what decade, but it's got to come home eventually.
Exactly.
We don't know what tournament, we don't know what decade, but
exactly. What's the definition? Anyway, all the best, guys. Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.